That breaking news, we now know the suspect who was shot and killed by a police officer in Red Arrow Park after a confrontation between those two in downtown Milwaukee yesterday. That suspect's name, Dontre Hamilton. Police say he suffered from mental illness.
Mike Jacobs is live in the newsroom. He's got more on this investigation. The chief had a lot to say about this particular issue, Mike.
Yes, a very passionate plea from the chief today. The chief told us the suspect has a long history of mental illness and a long criminal history as well. Hamilton tried to commit suicide last year by stabbing himself on each side of the neck and then told police officers who responded that voices told him to kill himself and to kill them as well. Now here's a look at the suspect. 31-year-old Dontre Hamilton of Milwaukee. He was shot to death yesterday afternoon around 3:30 or so after he attacked an officer who responded to a disturbance call at Red Arrow Park downtown. Now, in addition to updating us on this case, the chief spent really the majority of his time discussing the mental health crisis in our community.
The purpose of today's press conference is to identify the individual who was shot and killed by police yesterday in Red Arrow Park. I want to make it clear from the beginning of this press conference that our purpose is not to demonize our suspect, but rather to identify him and through his death draw attention to an extraordinarily serious social health problem being played out on the streets of America's cities today, including Milwaukee.
Now, the chief went on to say that Milwaukee police respond to an average of more than 24 calls per day for problems with people who are seriously mentally ill. He also said MPD has basically become, quote, the social agency of first resort, and he called that situation intolerable. He said state lawmakers and others need to stop worrying about cutting taxes and saving money and doing more to help the mentally ill, warning that the problems that we are encountering will likely get worse. So, again, a very emotional plea from Chief Flynn this afternoon on this societal problem. Stephen Courtney?
And Jake, the chief pointing out the amount of resources that are poured into this, saying that last year alone it was 7,000 stops were basically mental health checks.
Absolutely that. And he said each one carries its own degree of risk. Some of them become fatal shootings. Most of them don't resort to violence, but some of them do, and that is a serious and growing problem in our country.
All right, Mike, thanks for that.